it's amazing the resiliency of the mining sector, to be quite honest. If we look back to February of last year and in March, before the pandemic really kind of hit everything, the mining conferences I've attended and spoken at, and also in the conversations I've had with CEOs and board members, it was really focused on ESG. And that was one of the primary things that everyone was trying to understand. So I won't go into too much of that, but it quickly changed to health and safety, right? So when the pandemic hit, the urgency to safeguard your mine site, the local communities, I was actually very proud to hear of everyone just sort of working together, trying to figure it out. I remember one story up in a mining company up north, who, they had about 25 people who were infected, didn't really understand the virus yet. Of course, no one did back in late March. And they had trouble logistically moving people. How was it transmitted? It was just, when I talked to the CEO about it, it's a very, very emotional journey to understand your responsibility for these workers and local communities and First Nations and how they went about it. But everyone got, mining companies did quite well, in my opinion, to be quite honest. So, there's no lack of adversity that sort of hits mining companies. So a lot of mining companies do have these crisis management plans that are put in place and sort of do the what ifs and what to do when. So a lot of companies that were well prepared did actually just pick up that red phone and start getting the teams together and rallying and understanding and gathering information. So I think, are we stronger? And I think that's one of the questions. I think the mining sector is stronger because of it. Of course, it's very unfortunate that it happened, but the way the companies dealt with it and moved through it and rallied together
and finding assets that were undervalued. And right now, a lot of assets aren't undervalued because valuations have been thrown out the door. But this is the only sector that we feel still has a lot of value to be believed in. So the Canadian mining industry, especially the gold industry, the silver industry, that's something we're very bullish about, because we feel it's like everything else has been kind of taken out of extraordinary measures when it comes to the world we live in today, whether it's healthcare, COVID, crypto. And we feel real value is still underneath the ground, and that's where in Canada. So we focused Belgravia's net asset average strictly on holding junior mining assets in the gold, silver, industrial metal space. And as a public company, that's one of the things we want to see, the maximized growth of our NAV be delivered by the growth of our holding companies. So just to quickly talk about our holdings, I think Azincourt was supposed to present on this panel. They're not here. We're focused on an energy. Azincourt's a uranium company. They're located in Saskatchewan. BlackRock Silver, there's a company that's done very well over the last year and a half. It's a silver and gold exploration company, not in Canada, they're in Nevada. Imperial Mining is a company we're extremely bullish about. It's a scandium deposit in Quebec. Originally, the management had their sights set on obviously the rare earths, and they had a lot of positive exploration back in 2010. So the same management is back at it a decade later, and as the old saying goes, mines are always built in the next cycle. So Imperial Mining is a company we're extremely positive and bullish about to deliver their scandium deposit updates. Next.
Yeah, so from the mining side, and Jeff touched on a lot of issues, and in being at EY, you obviously get a lot of exposure to that side of the market. I'm looking at this from the pragmatic side as a leader of a company, and in terms of some of the things that we're faced with. This is all about uncertainty. Mining does very well with uncertainty in many cases. They're ones who can actually deal with the risk better than most industries. But the capital markets would be one of the most important things that happened during the pandemic. Capital markets are always an uncertain issue for mining companies, but during the pandemic and during the pandemic now, there's still some uncertainty around the ability to raise financing, whether it's specifically related to equity or debt. Banks are certainly pulling back, reducing a lot of their risk. Metal pricing, volatility creates a lot of difficulties for companies who are looking at, their budgeting, their sales forecasts, etc. And probably one of the more important aspects, for the mining side is all about M&A, and the ability to conduct proper site due diligence, the ability to look at assets and be able to go kick tires, meet with management teams, look into, as they say, the whites of the eyes to be able to establish valuations is challenging, not impossible.
My personal view on this is that quite simply, we're a very large country. We've got lots of resources. We've got it's one of our key attributes. So to have a country where we've got fairly good government programs like flow through and others in support in Plan Nord in Quebec, and so we've fostering this industry has been very important for Canada. As I mentioned, like $100 billion of contribution to GDP and 20% of exports. So and the ability to create infrastructure for northern communities has been extremely important. Bringing in medical facilities, creating roads, collaborating with great people to bring technology up north has been kind of a key thing that can continue to make Canada stronger from that.
Also, from a resident of Canada's perspective, I think we also should understand that mining is very important just from the metals that we use and consume on a daily basis. But as a huge contributor to GDP and as an export for the country, the Canadian dollar is actually is underpinned by resources. And we have a stronger dollar, or will always have a stronger dollar during times when commodity prices are rising. Oil aside, I mean, oil would be that biggest contributor, but copper, gold, zinc, all metals that are produced in Canada have a fundamental underlying aspect and valuation on the Canadian dollar. So if we stop mining, and stop producing oil, we could be a 30-cent country to the dollar. So it's very important. And this nation has been built on the wealth of those exports. So it's a very important industry.
Just to jump in, I mean, the governance in Canada and, I mean, obviously the way Canadian mining companies report from the juniors to the mid caps or large caps, I think that gives the international community a lot of comfort knowing that companies listed in Canada, companies audited by Canadian auditors, companies raising funds in Canada, whether it's through flow throughs or whatever the channel may be, that the work will get done. I think, we've seen over, not recently, but over the past, decades or two, a lot of unfortunate events. But now Canadian governance of the mining sector is probably the highest in the universe. I don't think there's, not to name other countries, but when we see companies listed here, I think that there's a very comfort in an aspect. To Alistair's point, yes, our dollar is driven by our commodity. We're seeing a rise right now very slowly in our dollar compared to some of the other currencies. That has to do naturally with price of oil being hovering around $60 and probably going higher. So whether it's the mortgages, our education system, everything does rely on the mining sector, whether it's from Bay Street or actually inside the mines or the everyday folks working in the back offices. So yes, Canada's a mining nation, and we've done well, and we're going to continue doing well, probably better than everybody.